Tonight. So yesterday we learned that New York will be losing 2 congressional seats come 2012, and that means that at least 2 incumbents will not be returning to office after the next election cycle. This scenario is actually eerily similar to one that took place just 10 years ago. In the 2000 census, New York also lost 2 seats, and 2 incumbents, 1 Democrat and 1 Republican, chose to resign rather than face off against their colleagues after their districts were combined. Tonight, we're joined by both of the casualties of that last redistricting. My first guest is Republican Ben Gilman. He is joining us tonight from Middletown. Congressman, thank you very much for your time.
Good evening, Liz, and welcome to all of our listening audience out there.
So this must be an unwelcome memory for you. It's, like I was saying, it's quite familiar. This is pretty much what happened in 2000.
It's deja vu all over again. 10 years ago, I was I was a victim of the census problem.
So what happened briefly? I mean, it was pretty ugly, if I remember correctly. They merged your district with Sue Kelly's district, and they said, if you want to keep your seat, Mr. Gilman, you can primary her.
Yes, and because I was a Republican, I didn't want to fight another Republican. But I went to court on this situation. I went to federal court, and the federal judge was an older judge, and I said, Your Honor, I'm being left out of the political arena because I'm getting older. He said, don't worry about it. I'm your age as well. And he gave me a favorable decision. But then when I took that decision to the state legislature and to Governor Pataki said, don't worry, Ben, we'll take care of you. Well, he never took care of me. But the state legislature, the majority there, and the majority in the Congress offered me to change parties. And they said, we will take care of you and we will give you your seniority. I said, well, I can't change parties. I've been a Republican all my life. But Louise Slaughter and I were selected. They picked Louise because she was the older Democrat and I was the older Republican at the time. And they said, because you're the senior members, you're going to have to go. We don't have enough population to warrant your staying in as members of the New York delegation.
Right. So actually what happened in the Western, and we're going to be talking about this, it ended up being John LaFalce and Louise Slaughter. She ended up sticking around, but John LaFalce didn't get so lucky.
Because,
for you?
No, it's because John voluntarily resigned his office at that time. That's why Louise was able to stick around, and now she's the chairman of the Rules Committee in the House.
Yeah, and
but
indeed,
it looks like she may be caught up in this new census problem again.
So let me ask you this, though.
Well,
you just before you go on, the former governor, George Pataki, that you mentioned, you know, there were some reports at the time that you had angered him by insisting that you had the final say over federal appointments and not him. Is that true?
No, we didn't get that kind of a problem with the governor. When I talked to the governor, he said, don't worry, Ben, you've been doing a lot of good work. We'll take care of you. Well, regrettably, he didn't. But at any rate, I went to the court, to the federal court, and I was successful in getting a good decision. However, our upstate Republicans were worried about the decision and felt that if my court decision were to apply, it might affect their future. So they went to Vice President Cheney about it, and Cheney appealed to the state legislature to try to protect the upstate Republicans.
Okay, Congressman, what you are describing here is exactly why I think reformers are saying, whoa, this can't go on anymore. You're talking about Dick Cheney. You're talking about the Vice President of the United States getting involved in a redistricting situation in New York, right? This kind of backroom dealing is why people are upset.
Yeah, because the upstate Republicans appealed to him to make sure that they weren't going to be affected by my court decision.
Okay, so
say lovey, they're going to be concerned once again with picking a senior member of the Republican Party and a senior member of the Democratic Party for the two victims of this census problem.
Okay, do you believe, though, that the reformers who are pushing to take politics out of this redistricting process, is it possible to take politics out of this process after all that you've seen?
I think it's an appropriate issue to take a good hard look at to see what could be done, but I think the political insiders may object to it.
Why did
because they're going to, I think they will leave it up to the state legislature once again to make the decision.
Now, you didn't hire yourself a lobbyist, right? Some of your colleagues have, for example, Maurice Hinchey, I remember quite clearly, he's a Democrat from the Hudson Valley area, hired a pretty pricey lobbyist to come up here and lobby the legislature. You didn't do that?
No, I went myself to the state legislature. Incidentally, they offered me to change parties.
You mentioned.
The majority leader in the state legislature and in the Congress both offered me an opportunity to change parties, and I said, no, I can't do that. I've been a Republican all my life.
Was it difficult for you to see Sue Kelly then subsequently lose that seat? She lost that seat to John Hall. It's only in this cycle that the Republicans managed to get it back.
Yeah, that's true. And I didn't want to oppose a fellow Republican. They asked me if I was going to run against Sue, and I said, no, I won't run against a fellow Republican.
Congressman, what was it? What was it? What was it that the upstate Republicans were concerned about specifically when you said that they didn't want to support the court decision that was in your favor?
Because the court decision would have affected them in their elections, so that's why they were very much concerned about their seats. Mm-hmm. And that's why they appealed to Vice President Cheney to try to go to the state legislature and protect the upstate Republicans. You know,
someone who was in the courtroom back then, it was back in the early 2000s, told me that you had said, you know, Warren Anderson told me in the 80s that if I had accepted bad parts of the district that I didn't want in the last changing of the lines, I wouldn't have to go through this again. Is that true?
I don't know how truthful that is, but you know, the census cut up our area too much. It affected cities where they chopped up cities where a part of the city would go to one congressman and another part to another one. And as a matter of fact, the new district cut up our old district awfully bad, and I objected to it, but it ended up having 4 congressmen representing our old district.
Mm. Did you? There were also reports. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
There were also
Hinchey and
reports at the time.
3 other Congress.
There were reports at the time, Congressman, that you might get some kind of offer, like a soft landing place from the administration, and that never happened?
I never heard about it, but my Democratic friends were offering me to become a Democrat and that I would still retain my seniority. And it was awfully tempting, but I've been a Republican too long to accept that kind offer.
Well, here's what's clear from your story is that this is a very messy process, and it's about to start all over again. I'm sure you're going to be watching it with interest. I want to thank you very much for coming in and sharing with us your experience.
Well, thank you, Liz, and I feel sorry for the 2 members of Congress who will be affected by this. It's a sad process where you eliminate good Congress people just because we lack population to hold on. Mm. Charlie Rangel and I were the co-chairman of the New York delegation, and when we first started, there were over 40 members, and now we're down to some 30-some members.
I know.
And with the loss of 2 more, it'll be close to almost getting out of the 30 class.
I know. Well, Congressman, we are unfortunately out of time. I want to thank you very much again.
Well, thank you, Liz, and let me wish the viewing audience a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and may it be a peaceful one throughout the world.
And to you, too.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Congressman.